All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to get all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Out here preaching this gospel in sincerity and truth throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom. This your bro Matazai coming back with another video. And I actually caught wind of this article. I think it was yesterday. I actually watched another brother's video, going into this article right here. And I agree with everything that he brought out in that video, which, kind of inspired me to do something, kind of do my own take on this article, because he was basically going into the video of how these vaccines that these people have taken, got little micro robots in it, and basically it has, these people basically have technology inside of them, which is going to be used for some type of sinister agenda in the near future. All the people that, took that vaccine, and he was basically going into how when people first start taking it, they start making videos about it and how it basically connected to their Bluetooth, and how sometimes they would put magnets up to where they got, in the area that they receive the vaccine, they would put magnets in the area, and the magnets would attract, the technology that was basically inserted in them, which we know that Esau, he has a very sinister agenda for what he's going to use these people for that has taken that vaccine, and we have to understand that was a worldwide thing. And plus the truth came out, light was shed on this whole vaccine, and it came out that this was some type of bioweapon that came from DARPA. If you want to look up what DARPA is, which is basically a cutting edge research facility. It's like a cutting edge research facility for advanced technology, and this was where the vaccine came from, because it holds little like micro robots in it. I can't say the real word of what it is because they'll flag the video, but it's little small micro robots. And that's what these people have basically moving around in their system that took this vaccine, and it's a lot of different speculation as to what Esau is really going to use this technology that was inserted in these people, how he's going to use these people very soon. But the bro in the video, he was basically going into how, these these satellites and things like that, the AI and all of that Esau is setting up is basically going to put these people on a grid, and basically they're going to use frequencies to basically kill a lot of these people off. Because if you remember the Georgia Guidestones, it said that they want to reduce the population of the earth to around 500 million, so they can more easily control them. And then the rest of the 500 million, they basically going to be put into the New World Order system with a microchip under their skin, which is the mark of the beast, So Esau, he's got a lot of sinister plans, and we don't know exactly how he's going to use the vaccine that these people took, but we know that it's going to be something on a large scale, and we know there's going to be something very sinister that he's going to use it for. So, a lot of people that bowed down, they got scared of losing their jobs and so forth, and they put themselves in a trap, So now these people got to live with that fear, knowing that they put this stuff and they put this shit inside of them, And Esau, he's going to use that for something. A lot of brothers think, which me personally, I think that also that this was a test run for the mark of the beast, a test run for the MOTB. But I also think that Esau, he has an even more sinister agenda when it comes to people that have taken that vaccine with that technology inside of it, that micro tech. So, yeah, basically the bro in the video, he was just going into how they can have frequencies to come on and have all of these people basically dropping dead, you know, mass death. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, a lot of people around the earth has taken that, because that was a worldwide thing that was happening. You know, and a lot of people around the globe was basically bowing down and taking that vaccine. So all types of people around the world and all these different countries have that same technology inside of them, you know? So it's only time is going to tell how Esau he's really going to use what these people have put in him. But let's go into this article real quick. You know, so that was basically just an intro to what this video is going to be about, and hopefully it won't be too long. But let's just go into this article real quick. It says America's top oncologist warns 6 billion maxed will die from cruel and unusual cancers. You know, that's what it's saying. And if you know anything about the side effects of what was happening to these people that took that vaccine, you know, people was dying from heart failure. You know, the tissue of their heart was getting scarred up, and a lot of them was just, you know, their heart just gave out. You know, a lot of them was having what do they call it? I'm sure they'll mention it in this article. I kind of forgot what the word was, but it was a lot of problems that was going on with people's hearts that took this vaccine. Now, also another side effect basically was people getting these, you know, their system clogged up. They was getting blood clots and shit like that. That affected these people's hearts as well. You know, when they would pull these blood clots out, they would basically look like jelly. You know, it would be so thick. You know, and you got people like coroners, people that, you know, try to find out the cause of death of people. They say that they seen these blood clots and it was nothing like they ever seen before. You know, and now you have another guy in this video. He said that these cancers that's happening to people that took that vaccine, he said that this it's unlike anything that he's ever seen before. And he's treated over 20,000 people before then, you know? So it's a lot of shit going on. You know, a lot of death is occurring in the earth, you know, because the Heavenly Father is moving. He's making these, really, that's a plague on these people, you know, and the Heavenly Father is going to bring a lot more plagues and a lot more suffering and sorrows on these people, you know. And I think and I agree with that bro in that video. Me personally, I think that there's going to be something that's going to happen to where you're going to have a lot of people dying off, you know, because they're going to hit those frequencies, those certain sounds, you know, that's going to basically register with that technology that these people got inserted in them. And a lot of people are going to start dying off, you know, and they're going to blame it on the next demic or whatever happens in the future. They're going to blame it on that, when really it's going to be because of what these people inserted in themselves from the whole C19 era, you know. So let's just go down and read a little bit of this article real quick, you know. And I think there was a video that I'm gonna play also, because I think it's the same video that bro played in his lesson. You know, I think I'm gonna play the same thing because it kind of gives some good information, you know. And this is for brothers that haven't seen it, but it says the global elite strong arm billions into, you know, and I got to kind of be careful with the words I say, because, you know, it'll get taken down. But it says the global elite strong arm billions into vaccines, threatening their jobs, their families, everything they hold dear, to enforce a so-called cure that's now unraveling into a health catastrophe. You see? Now here's the dude right here, and let's just play a little bit of this video. And let's see what this guy is a professional. Not this dude right here on the screen, but the guy that's going to show up after him. He's going to speak on the people that has taken, you know, or accepted these vaccines into their bodies. So let's see what he has to say real quick.
There are only a handful out of the 100,000 doctors, Canadian doctors, that didn't take the vaccine. that are still practicing medicine. So it's something like 99.9% vaccination rate. And they were the first ones to line up for their vaccines. Well, as I started looking at the sudden deaths of Canadian doctors, I realized, yes, most of them are dying from cardiac issues, heart injuries, cardiac arrests, dying while jogging or swimming, dying in their sleep. And Dr. Peter McCullough has talked about this extensively, about the myocarditis and the damage to the heart, the scarring to the heart. And then some were dying from blood clots, pulmonary emboli, strokes. But then there was quite a large subset of doctors who were developing extremely aggressive cancers. And cancers at an age that they shouldn't be getting. So, for example, there was a doctor who developed gastric cancer in his 30s. Presented at stage 4, he was dead in less than a year. Very rare brain cancers in young individuals in their 20s and 30s, medical students, medical residents. And these cancers would always present at stage 4, and they would always kill them in a matter of a few months, and it was always less than a year. And, at first I didn't know, what the term for this was or what the phenomenon was. I just started, really paying attention to it, tracking it. I then, realized that this is being called turbo cancer by people on social media. Turbo cancer is not a medical term, but it's a term that people came up with to really describe the extremely aggressive nature of these cancers in the COVID vaccinated. And these cancers behave completely differently, unlike anything I've seen before in my career. And I've diagnosed over 20,000 cancer patients in my career with cutting-edge PET-CT, positron emission tomography imaging, CT, MRI, pathological correlation. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen stage 4 breast cancers presenting in women in their 20s. I've never seen stage 4 colon cancers presenting in men and women in their 20s, 30s. Leukemias that will kill you in a matter of days or even hours after diagnosis. Lymphomas that again kill you in a matter of months.
It's no,
And that's the word that I was trying to figure out, that I couldn't think of at the time, but it was myocarditis. And this is not medical information. This is nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? We're just going over the research that these doctors have, are shedding light on, basically. They're shedding light on the research and the findings that they've personally uncovered. So this is not like medical information or anything like that. So, but yeah, it was myocarditis. That's what I was trying to think of. You got a lot of athletes, people that are normally very healthy, young people that are just, having heart problems, and all these people have one thing in common. They can all be linked to a vaccine that they have taken prior to these heart problems, So it said the vaccines were forced on billions, but now the truth is clawing its way out, and it's a nightmare. World-leading experts like Dr. Patrick, a billionaire cancer drug expert, is sounding the alarm. And he says that the virus itself trashes your immune system, leaving it weak for years. Then the vaccine shot, they flip the switch off on your body's ability to fight inflammation. So basically your natural defenses, almost like not HIV. Is it like HIV or is it AIDS? But HIV or AIDS, one of them, you can't, which I think HIV leads to AIDS. But I think once you have that, you basically your whole immune system is basically trash, or is very weak, or you really is basically you don't have one. You know what I'm saying? So anything like the common cold, you can get very sick from that to the point where you die. If you have HIV or AIDS or however it is. But once you don't have an immune system, something as common as the common cold, something that you just catch and get rid of, that your body would naturally fight off easily, that becomes something very severe and life-threatening if you don't have your natural defenses. if you don't have your natural immune system to fight those things off. Something as weak as a common cold can be life threatening to you, and that's what this vaccine has done to these people. Is shut down their immune system, or basically just done away with it completely. That way they don't have no defense when it comes to these different germs and things that's out there. And, they can easily just die, what I'm saying, from something so weak like a common cold, that their body would naturally fight off otherwise. You know what I'm saying? So it has that same effect as AIDS, basically. It takes their immune system away. But it says it's a vicious loop, a perfect circle, teeing up aggressive cancers that are exploding worldwide, fast and feral, and behaving in an aggressive and unpredictable ways the experts has never seen before. And this is people from all over the globe that's experiencing these things. And it says with 5 billion doses in arms, the experts are losing sleep, and they're spilling the secrets of Big Pharma. Where it says, and they're spilling the secrets that Big Pharma wants buried. And it says, let's skip down a little bit. And I might not read all of this. Let's see how much we got. Yeah, I might not read all of this, but it's not too much. Not really too much. But I don't want to bore. I don't want to, Jake got a short attention span, so I don't want to bore Jake reading all of this. But you get the gist of the video basically. But it says, let's just touch on a few things in the article. It says he's calling it the biggest health crisis humanity's ever faced. And it said the vaccinated, they're staring down a depopulation disaster thanks to what Dr. Shayoung calls a perfect circle, the virus shredding immune systems for years, then the vaccine flipping off the body's ability to fight inflammation. And it says the payoff for that is cancer, aggressive and unstoppable. And it says, hold on, let's skip down. And it says, vaccinating the globe against C19, pumping that protein into every cell in the body of billions, has ignited the worst health crisis in history. Experts are finally breaking their silence, admitting what's keeping them up at night. And it says Big Pharma is basically doubling down, gaslighting us all, pushing folks in line for yet another dose like nothing's wrong. Meanwhile, the disaster spiraling, young and healthy people dropping dead just days, even hours after a cancer diagnosis, the body counts climbing, the truth is clawing out, and the elite couldn't be happier with their work. Yep, because this is part of their plan that they want is to reduce the population on the earth, And me personally, I think people that took that vaccine, they have that technology inside of them. All they got to do is hit a frequency or something, that it's some way they got control over that stuff people got in their body, and they're going to use it somehow, Maybe it's going to be a lot of people. Maybe they're going to do it when people start rising up against the government because of the things that the elites are doing. So once it gets too bad and people start rebelling too bad, maybe that's when they hit the switch, and people start dying or people start getting real sick and they blame it and say that it's another demi-demic. We don't know how it's going to play out, but we know that Esau has some very sinister agendas behind the things that he's doing. And a lot of people have basically fell into that trap, But let's grab something real quick. And I'm not going to read these articles, but let's just look at the things that they're saying. It says massive C19 vaccine study links, the concoction to soaring heart attack rates. You see? Now they're linking them to massive heart attack rates, which we've been hearing about that. Unless this is another one. It says groundbreaking study, vaccine alter your genetic makeup in ways linked to cancer and VAGE. And that's what I was talking about, because VAGE is basically a new term that they created to basically say that it's a form of AIDS created by the vaccine that people took. It's basically a form of AIDS that they're calling it a form of AIDS that is caused by vaccines that people has taken that took their immune system away. So that's a new term. It's basically AIDS caused by vaccines. But it says groundbreaking. What I'm saying? It says they altering your genetic makeup. And that's another thing, because we know that Esau wants to create the Heavenly Father. He wants to recreate what the Heavenly Father has created, and basically recreated in his own image, basically putting his mark on it, his logo on it, and saying that basically it's his creation. And that's what the MOTB is. That's what the mark of the beast is. People that accept that or take that, you're basically saying that you're property of Esau Edom, the so-called white man. You're basically saying that you would rather be made in his image rather than the Heavenly Father image. And we're talking about you Israelites. I'm saying you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because you are the ones that are made in the image of the Heavenly Father, not these heathens. But Esau, he wants you to be made in his image. So that's why taking that MOTB, the mark of the beast, is such a it's a direct slap in the face to the Heavenly Father, and he's going to destroy you for it. But now let's grab some scriptures real quick. This is Isaiah 29:15, and it says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us? And they constantly having cover-ups, having people speak on it and say that this is something beneficial for you people to take, when all the evidence that's coming out around the world is basically all saying the same thing. It's all negative, but they're telling you to go down, and they're still promoting it. And people are still going down, lining up to take boosters and all different type of shit, dropping dead, dying in their sleep, like they said in that video, dying in their sleep, dying in the middle of track meets, and dying on the field right in the middle of soccer games and all different type of shit, man. But they seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, but you can't hide anything from the Lord, man. But it says their works are in the dark. And of course their works are in the dark, because if people actually knew what was going on, people would be hunting for their heads. But because people are so stupid, and they're basically casting out spells on these people to keep them asleep, they're able to pull these things over the people's eyes, over their heads, what I'm saying, without them thinking too much of it, because they don't report the deaths. They don't tell you how much this is affecting people around the world, because they're not reporting it on the media, which is controlled by the same people that's causing you people to take this, so you people are completely in the dark, what I'm saying? But now a lot of information is coming out about the things that they're doing. So, we're shedding light on it, but you still got majority of the people that are still in darkness. You know what I'm saying? And this is Isaiah 14:12. And it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, which that is talking about basically the elites, the ones that you people would think of to be the Illuminati, the elites, the ones that sit at the top of the pyramid, basically controlling the working class, everybody else that's under them, the top 1%. They control everything else. That's Lucifer, the Illuminati. But it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, which that's heaven is basically talking about rulership, being in a high position. How son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? And Esau, particularly the elites of his nation, but Esau in general, as a nation of people, the Edomites, the so-called white people, they have weakened the nations all the way down to their philosophies, their beliefs, their lifestyle, all the way down to destroying the people physically with taking this vaccine, as well as all these other different things that they do in the name of healthcare, or science, or trying to figure out cures and treatments and things like that. They destroy whole nations of people with these experiments, and a lot of it's not even experiment. A lot of them, this is what they wanted. This is what they designed to happen. They wanted people to die slowly and in mass numbers so that it's not too obvious, So this is what they're doing. And that's another way they weaken the nations, because you have all nations around the world that fell for that whole C19 thing, and they all took that vaccine. So you got a lot of people dying all over the world, which is weakening the nations, And like I said, another thing with that is their philosophies and lifestyle and their beliefs. They weaken the nations like that as well, So let's go into, this is Psalm 64:5, and it says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them? You see? So they lay snares privately. They lay snares in secret, They lay snares without you even, well, that's the whole purpose of a trap, is to lay it that way you can stumble upon it cluelessly, and it catches you off guard. And that's what's happening to these people, man. They fell into a trap, and then you got motherfuckers suffering and dying all over the place, man. And then and these numbers are not even being reported no more, because like I said, they control the media. They control the narrative. They can say that a lot of people are being healed from this if they wanted to, but we know that the opposite is happening. A lot of people are dying, suffering, getting all different types of injuries, autism, cancer, heart problems, blood clots, all different types of shit is happening because of this snare that these people have fell into, this trap, And it says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. It says they encourage themselves in an evil matter, which means they do what? They encourage each other to do evil. They challenge each other to go above and beyond, to do even more evil. Because what you have the world in your hands, you have all the money, the resources. What is it left to do? Nothing but evil. And these are Edomites that we're talking about with all this money and power. So of course, Esau is going to have nothing but evil to do. He already owns every damn thing. What else is it left for him to do besides evil? So they encourage each other to do evil shit, And this whole vaccine, that was one of their sinister evil plans that they have, along with many others, So let's grab one last one. This is 2 Ezra 16:18. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? You see, but it says what? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. And that's exactly what a lot of people are experiencing. Sorrows and great mournings. But what does it say? This is only the beginning. So there's a lot more death. There's a lot more unaliving. There's a lot more bodies that got to hit the ground before the Lord shows up, to basically push the restart button on this world, So I think that was the point, With that, man, I'm going to go ahead and give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.